Welcome, students. This is about today we have to discuss about the good agricultural practice, because last class we have discussed about the good current good manufacturing process which is done in the herbal herbs and herbal production, herbal formulations from the initial stage. So in that specifically the cultivation and collection, processing, these all the very important thing which has to be considered. So good agricultural practice is very important for us to have the discussion today. So today we are going to have a discussion about the good agricultural practice. This good agricultural practice, GAP, we had already in our 6th semester herbal drug technology. We have a chapter over this. Anyhow, this is not only a revision, point by point, the student, if they read and understand, it will be easy for them to appear in the examination. So always I used to have a classes for the students in the examination point of view, how you can write, take the hints from my lecture, from my handout, and then you can just how it can be produced. Producibility is very important. How you can produce, how you can make our examination successful by writing in the paper. So good agriculture practice of medicinal plants is a cultivation program designed to ensure optimal yield in terms of both quality and quantity of any product or any crop intended for health purposes. The good agriculture practice is mainly for quality and quantity. The both of them are maintained by means of the practice which you are intended. The guidelines of good agriculture practice provide us the documented proof of how to handle medicinal plant right from the cultivation to the post harvesting operation. Raw medicinal plant material should meet all applicable national or in regional quality standards. The guidelines, therefore, may need to be adjusted according to each country's situation. Objective of good agriculture practice to contribute to the quality assurance of medicinal plant materials used as the source of herbal medicines, which aims to improve the quality, safety, and efficacy of finished herbal products. Finished herbal products means including even homeopathy. This I have taken just a homeopathy because you may be knowing lot of finished product in Ayurveda, Siddha, and even in Unani. But this also having the finished product, they modified into a small pellets like they used to make. So that is a finished product, even include it is also from herbs produced. To guide the formulation of national or regional guidelines, the monograph for the medicinal plants and related standard operating procedures are important and to make them standard. That's the objective of good agricultural process. So the student, if they read one or two times, you can write in a proper way. First, initially, objective of good agriculture practice. Standard operating procedure including cultivation, collection, post-harvesting processing, then extraction, then formulating. All these things should have a standard SOP, standard operating procedure. So standard operating procedure means you might have seen in every industries and even in our college, in our institution, you can see there is an SOPs will be displayed in front of every instruments in the laboratory. So standard operating procedure relates to a specific task and should address the following actually: their purpose and the frequency of doing a task, and it should be mentioned who will do this task, a description of the procedure to be performed that includes all the steps involved, the corrective actions to be taken if the task is performed incorrectly. So the solution should be given there to encourage and support the sustainable cultivation and collection of the medicinal plants of good quality is the next objective of good agricultural practice. So general guidelines for good agriculture practice of medicinal plants, we have 14 points. It is very important for you to make it in the session, and it's easy for you to remember and to express in your examination paper. Number 1, selection of medicinal plants. Number 2, identification, authentication to cultivated medicinal plants. Number 3, specimens, preserving specimens. And number 4, seeds and other propagation materials. And number 5, cultivation. Number 6, site selection. Number 7, ecological, environmental and social impact. And number 8, climate. And number 9, soil. And number 10 is irrigation and drainage. And number 11, plant maintenance and protection. Number 12, harvesting and drying. Number 13, storage. And number 14, personnel who is working there. These all 14 points we are going to discuss in a short manner in one slide, but the student have to have the hints in writing all the 14. Is important to have this good agriculture practice. It's very interesting to write, hence you know the sections in 14 points. So number 1, selection of medicinal plants. Any student can write the species or a botanical variety selected for the cultivation should be the same as specified in the national pharmacopeia, because you need the standard which is given by the pharmacopeia of the particular country or recommended by the other authoritative national document of the end user's country. If suppose the country is not having pharmacopeia, then you can use the which standard, which country is following or which standard book you are following. That should be recorded properly for the selection of the medicinal plant before cultivation, before to have a good agriculture practice. So in the appearance of the such national document, not appearance, in the absence, in the absence of such national document, suppose if there is no identification have been done before and you are newly going to do for the cultivation of the new plant, the selection of the species and the botanical variety specified in the pharmacopeia was not to be seen or other. So if it is not there, then you have to go for other authoritative or traditional document of the other countries should be considered. Other countries' pharmacopeias or other traditional documents can also be used for your cultivation process for the selection of medicinal plants. In case the newly introduced medicinal plant, the species or the botanical variety selected for the cultivation should be identified and documented as the source material used for the described in the traditional medicine of the original country from where you have taken the sample. It should be mentioned the locality and this is the originality of the particular country. Documentation should be made if it is a new plant which you have selected for the cultivation of medicinal plants. So that is what the first point. Number 2 is identification, authentication of cultivated medicinal plants. The botanical identity, scientific name, genus, specific, subspecies, species, subspecies, variety, author and the family of the plant is very important for to authentication, identification of the each medicinal plant under cultivation should be verified and recorded. The local and the English common name should be recorded. Documentation. Other relevant information such as cultivators or cultivar's name, ecotype, chemotype, phenotype may be provided. Ecotype, chemotype, phenotype may be provided. Ecotype means, you see, ecotype, eco species, which is adapted as species environmental conditions. Type, ecotype exhibits phenotype differences in the morphological and physiological character, but chemotypes are those which differ in the chemical constituents. That is why it is called chemotype. So, chemotype, ecotype, phenotype, these all should be specified and provided for your identification, authentication and before cultivation medicinal plants. As appropriate for the commercially available cultivars, the name of the cultivars, name of the cultivators or cultivars and of the supplier should be provided in the case of landrace. What do you mean by landrace? Landrace is a local cultivar or animal breed that has been improved by traditional agricultural method. Traditionally they are doing. So that is also, if it is there, collected, propagated, distributed and grown in a specific region, record should be kept of the local name, including the origin of the source of seed, plants and propagated materials. So land races means you should know that. That is a new name which I have given here. Land races means the name is not known and the local cultivar and the animal breed that has been, that means improved by the traditional methods, traditional organic methods, traditional agriculture methods. But you have to keep record regarding that. That is the second one, identification of the plant. Specimens. In case of the first registered of the medicinal plant or where reasonable doubt exists as to the identity of the botanical species, then specimen. The voucher botanical WHO World Health Organization guidelines on good agricultural or collection practice for medicinal plant specimen should be submitted to the regional office or the national herbarium or identification. Whether it is possible, a genetic pattern should be compared to where the authentication specimen can be done. So specimens comes when it is a new plant which cannot be seen in the pharmacopoeias or in the national authorized books or natural authorized nearby. It's a new origin. Then you have to go for specimen for approval for the standard authorization for the national herbarium. Identification can be done before cultivation. It is very important. The documentation of the botanical identity should be included in the registration file. Seeds and other propagation materials. Seeds and other propagation materials means there are many. Like asexual method, or a part of the plant can also be used instead of seed. So the seeds or other propagation method should be specified, and the supplier should provide all necessary information relating to the identity, quality and performance of their products as well as their breeding history. The propagation of or planting material should be of the appropriate quality and free from contamination and diseases to promote healthy plant growth. Plant material should preferably be resistant or tolerant to biotic or abiotic factors. Biotic or abiotic. Abiotic factors and biotic factors, you know very well that it's biotic means related to the living organism. Abiotic like air, light, sunlight, temperature, all these things comes in that. It is abiotic. Abiotic and biotic factors are non-living and living parts of the ecosystem respectively. So for an example, abiotic factors can be a temperature, air, water, soil, sunlight and other physical or chemical substances. But biotic factors include plants, animals, insects, bacteria, fungi, birds and anything else living in an ecosystem. So now we are going to see about the quality and the propagating material include any genetically modified germ sperm should comply with regional to national regulations and be correctly labeled and documented as required. So here, extraneous species, what is not belonging to the species selected for the cultivation, and the counterfeit, you know, this false appearance looking like a genuine, that the word. Suppose the care should be taken, exclude extraneous species, the species which is not selected by you, not belonging to the species which you are selected for the cultivation. So in that you can exclude them. And botanical variety during an entire production process. And you can see counterfeit means it's a false appearance, like looking like a genuine, but the constituents may not be there. So that type of should be discarded, and substandard and adulterated propagation must be avoided. Now the fifth one is cultivation. The cultivation of medicinal plant requires intensive care and management. The condition and the duration of the cultivation required differs depending on the quality of the medicinal plant material. If not scientifically published or documented cultivation data are available, traditional methods of cultivation should be followed. Otherwise, a method should be developed through the research. Number 6, site selection. Where you want to select. Medicinal plant materials derived from the same species can show significant difference in quality. When cultivated at different sites, due to the influence of the soil and the climate and other factors, the difference may be related to the physical appearance also and variety of the constituents. Variation in the amount of constituents risk in contamination resulting in pollution of the soil, air and the water, and hazardous chemicals should be avoided. And this is what selection of the site which you should see, and this and impact of the past land have been used, for what purpose they have cultivated, these all history should be seen, and the cultivation should include the planting of previous crops, any application of the plant protection provision should be provided, means should be provided and should be evaluated by the cultivators. Ecological, environment and social impact. The cultivation of a medicinal plant may affect the ecological imbalance, the genetical diversity of the flora and the fauna, that is animal and the plant sector in the surrounding habits. The quality of the growth of the medicinal plant can be affected by other plants other living organisms and by the human activities. So the introduction of non-indigenous medicinal plant species in the cultivation may harm the biological and ecological balance of the region. So the ecological impact on the cultivation should be monitored over a time, and then before cultivation it is also one type of good manufacturing agriculture practice. It is necessary for them to monitor the ecological environment of the social impact. The social impact of the cultivation and the local communities should be examined to ensure that the negative impact on local livelihood are avoided. The term of local income opportunities, small scale cultivation is often preferred to large scale production. If large scale medicinal plant cultivation has been established, care should be taken that local communities benefit directly from it, like fair wages, equal employment opportunities and capital reinvestments. These all things also they are specified in the good agriculture practice. Climate and climate condition, you know very well, it differs from one place to place, geographical area. And the length of the day, rain, water supply and the field temperature significant influence in physical, chemical and biological qualities of the medicinal plants. The duration of the sunlight, average rainfall and average temperature including daytime and the nighttime temperature differences also includes influences in the physiological and biological activities of plants. Soil, when you see soil, the soil should contain appropriate amount of nutrients, organic matters and other elements to ensure optimal medicinal plant growth and quality. The optimal soil condition includes soil type, drainage, moisture retention, fertility and the pH. The use of fertility is vital in order to obtain large yields of medicinal plants. Human excreta, that's human feces or human excreta must be or must not be used, must be avoided or must not be used as a fertilizer due to presence of infectious microorganisms and parasites. Any application of animal manure should be documented and used as per the need of the medicinal plant species which you are using. Chemical fertilizers that has been approved by the countries of cultivation and consumption should be used. Irrigation and drainage. Irrigation and drainage should be controlled by or controlled and carried out as per the needs of the individual medicinal plant species during the various stages of growth. Water should be irrigated purpose, should comply with the local, regional and national quality standard. Care should be exercised to ensure that the plant under cultivation are neither over nor under watered. Plant maintenance and protection. The growth and the development of individual medicinal plant as well as the plant parts intended to medicinal use should be taken care and maintained. The timely application of measures should be topping, budding, nipping, pruning and shading may be used to improve the quality and the quantity of the medicinal plant. Agrochemicals used to protect medicinal plant should be kept as at minimum and applied only when no alternative measures are available, when you are using some chemicals. When necessary, only approved pesticides and herbicides should be applied when you are cultivating medicinal plants in good agriculture practice. At the minimum activity level, as per the labeling instruction of the regulatory bodies. Only qualified staff should be approved or used Approved equipments should be used, qualified staff, approved equipment should carry it out for the pesticides and said application, all applications should be documented. Harvesting and drying, the 12th point, medicinal plants should be harvested during the optimal season, a time to ensure the maximum yield of the active constituents. And best possible quality, the time of harvesting depends on the plant part to be used. During harvest, care should be taken to ensure that no foreign matters, weeds or toxic plants are mixed with the harvested medicinal plant material. Medicinal plants should be harvested under the best possible condition, avoid dews, rain and high humidity. The harvesting occurs in wet condition. The harvest material should be transported immediately to the indoor drying facility to accelerate drying to prevent any possible deleterious effect due to the increased moisture level. Microorganism can be developed to promote the microorganism fermentation and mold. So cutting devices, harvesting and other machines should be kept clean, adjusted to reduce the damage of the contamination of the soil and other materials. If underground parts such as roots, rhizome used to, that is adhering soil, should be removed and the medicinal plants as soon as it is harvested. And a plastic container should be paid to any possible retention of moisture that could lead to the growth of mold. So it should be taken attention, suppose if you are using this type of plastics. Then decomposed medicinal plant material should be identified and discarded from the group of the medicinal plant during harvesting. Post-harvesting inspection and processing is very important to avoid the microorganism contamination and loss of product quality. The harvest raw material, plant material should be transported in a clean and dry condition. They may be placed in a clean basket, dry sack, and trailers, hoppers, and other well-aerated containers. Plastic central point of the transport processing facilities. All containers should be kept in a clean and a free from contamination by previous harvested medicinal plants and other foreign matters. So it's very important. Contamination should be avoided. Even the moisture content may use for storage. The organically grown medicinal plants material should be stored and transported separately in a manner that ensures their integrity, that means the stability. The fresh medicinal plants should be stored at low temperature, ideally 2 to 8 degrees centigrade, and frozen products and should be stored should be at less than 20 degrees centigrade. Suppose. Stewardship means, what is the meaning I have just shown in the beginning itself. The job of stewardship is supervising or take caring of something such that organization of the property. So take care, self-caring, stewardship, because it's personal. When you talk about the 14th point, personal, growers and the workers or the researcher or who is working should adequate knowledge of the medicinal plant concern during cultivation, the good agriculture practice. So this should include botanical identity, cultivation characters, environmental requirements, soil type, soil pH, fertility, and plant spacing, light requirements, climate requirements, water requirements, method of harvesting and storage. All this knowledge should be there for the person, and all professionals, including field worker, involved with the propagation, cultivation, harvesting and post-harvesting process stages of medicinal plant production, should maintain appropriate personal hygiene. So whoever works in our field, he should be maintain his hygiene and his proper medical checkup. Everything should have received training regarding the hygienic responsibility. They should receive instructional all issues relevant to the production of the environment, conservation of medicinal plant species, and the proper agricultural stewardship. That means agriculture, the job, responsibility, supervising or taking care of something such that organization or the property which is given to them. And general guidelines which we have seen, all the 14, I'm just repeatedly identification, the points, selection of the plant material, identification, authentication of the cultivated medicinal plants, specimens, and seeds and other propagation materials, cultivation, site selection, ecological environment and social impact, climate, soil, irrigation and drainage, plant maintenance and protection, harvesting and drying, storage and personal. So all the 14 points, if you just write down and have a hints and listen to the topic and lecture and listen at least once to the lecture, you can write this answer very easily. Otherwise it's a dry to remember all the points together. Only the guidelines you will remember. But if you want to write all the things, you can write as an essay question also if they ask good agriculture practice in medicinal plants and a good manufacturing process. And next comes good agriculture practice. Next, you have to go for good laboratory practice also, that we will see in the coming class. Thank you.